home to Eric's. Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Revell. You're welcome to take the chair if you would like.
Well, I really appreciate the chance to be here today. In talking to groups of people who love animals, I think some of what I'll be saying, oh, they're still...
Are they circling? Oh, they're circling? Are they really?
Yeah. They have before.
They know they're popular.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
Do you need a microphone?
No,
Okay.
I just thought I'd wait a minute.
Okay.
The jobs are a little more interesting. So, in talking to animal people, I think one of the things that's going to happen is that I'm going to be affirming things that you know, as well as I do. And my hope is that in having these things affirmed, I might reach a place in your heart where you thought to yourself, oh, I thought that was only me. It felt that way or went through that or experienced that. Because as a culture, we don't do a good job with grief. And if we do a lousy job with grief in general, we do a horribly lousy job with people who are grieving the loss of their pets. You know, every one of you who has a pet, you know that there's this, I guess, dirty little secret that we don't usually say out loud, and that's that frequently our relationships with our animals are better than our relationships with the people in our lives. Even family members that we adore. I'm not saying we love our people any less, but our relationships with people are complicated. Our animals, they're not complicated. And any insecurity that enters into human relationships and that kind of thing, it's not there with our pets. Our pets love us, period. They love us the way we are. And that's part of why we adore them so much and why we spend so much time with them. On top of their being our best friends, then they're also our children. We think about their care. We spend a lot of time taking care of them. We spend a lot of our time with them, period. A lot of our day is taken up with hanging out, cuddling, petting, walking, playing, and all of that. So when we lose a pet, there's big periods of time in our day where we're wandering around not knowing what to do with ourselves, because that's time we would have spent with our pet. Our pets are like our children, so in these multiple relationships and routines, when we lose a pet, we lose all of that. You lose a combination of your child, your best friend, you know, the person you hung out with the most. I've said to people who wanted to do like exercise routines or something, like you can decide with a friend, we'll walk every morning, right? And then the first time you don't feel like it, you call your friend and you say, I don't feel like it. And they say, oh, good, I don't either. Try to do that to your dog, right? The dog sits by the door. So they'll be with us through whatever we want. And so if we lose a pet, we lose all of this. For many, many people, their pets are their primary companions. And we don't often know this either. That can happen especially to elderly people who are by themselves otherwise and have their pet. So if we lose a pet, we lose all of this. And then we're in a state of grief. The biggest thing that we don't appreciate in this culture about grief is that it takes longer than any of us has patience for. Grief takes a long time, And our rituals, even for when we lose a human, if you've lost a family member, you've probably had the experience of going through the week's worth of rushing around trying to make a ton of arrangements, people passing by you in a blur, you know, and then the day comes that they're gone. And not only that, you have to go back to work because you got 5 days bereavement leave, right? 5 paid work days, that's it. Now you're done. You're done grieving. There are other cultures that will go all the way up to maybe 40 days in mourning a loss, and then we'll meet together once a week to say prayers for the first year, and then we'll get together every year after that. But a significant loss, it can be 2 to 3 years until you're really back feeling stable again. So if we do a bad job with people around loss, with your pets, does any of you have bereavement leave if you lost your only companion? No. You have to put a face on and go to work. And if you're looking down at the mouth, the possibility that one of your co-workers will say, "You lost your dog? Really?" You know, well, why don't you go get another one? To find support in our culture around pet loss has become such an issue that I'm really paying a lot of attention to it in my practice. Now, there are also some specific things that can make it harder, make it a lot worse. If there's any element of guilt, which how often isn't there in your loss of your animal, if you're saying to yourself, "Oh, why didn't I catch this sooner?" You know, or the circumstances of the loss, if it was an accident of some kind, if the cat ran out of the house when you weren't looking and got hit by a car, or anything that you think, if you decided to limit the treatment, you said, "Oh, Dr. Miller can do a whole lot of more stuff, I'm going to let it go now." So guilt makes it so much harder. If you had to make a decision to euthanize, what a horrible decision that is. Who wants to have to make a decision like that? And that can make the grieving process a lot harder. Another thing that happens almost predictably. I have competition like crazy today. It's not doves, it's puppies. But one loss brings back other losses. So most of us, if we lose a pet, the next thing we might be thinking about the parents we lost, or a spouse we lost, or a child we lost. And we're having to work through the mourning of those as well, all triggered by the loss of our pet. And then some of us don't want to grieve. We think if we start crying, we'll never stop. We think we have to push it down. We think we have to suppress it, that to show it as weakness. We don't want to carry that. So all of these things make the grieving process that much worse. So my best set of pieces of advice, if you're grieving the loss of an animal, is the first thing is to be as kind and gentle to yourself as you can. A way to think of it is, how would that pet you just lost be treating you right then? You know, how our pets will comfort you and how they sense when we're down in the mouth. And how would that pet be treating you? Would they be rushing you or not paying attention to you? No, they wouldn't. And so that kindness to oneself is number one. And then the next thing is find an ally. Find somebody who gets it. Your veterinarian is often the first place. You know, but Dr. Miller would know places to go if you don't have a friend that really understands and can support you. There are support groups. There's a support group I run. There's support groups that are even available, virtual support groups. You can find presences on the net, on Facebook, and so on, where you can hook up with other people who get it so that you're not alone in this. Finding some way to memorialize your pet is so important. I'm so happy to see that you are opening this memorial garden, because it's a terrible mistake to just let it go. Like, as soon as you can tolerate it, you start telling stories. You know, remember how excited Mickey got when we got the kitten, and how the kitten would always be soaking wet because he'd be licking him all the time? Remember how Caitlin used to do her high impact aerobics at the door, jumping up and down on all fours when we go? Tell those stories. And if you have no one to tell them to, write them down. Remember your pet. Everything you loved about that pet, you want to hold that in your heart. If there are some rituals that make sense to you, engage in them. You know, do something. If you decide to keep their remains, or you want to put their remains somewhere in a ritual, or if you have friends that will go someplace with you, or you do something at the dog park, or in the memorial garden at your veterinarians, something that will make meaning for you as you integrate this loss. If you're a person of faith, the idea that you will see your pet again is so important. That's what that Rainbow Bridge poem is about. I've met some people of faith who will tell someone, oh no, their dogs do not go to heaven. Don't believe it. In fact, Pope Francis actually came out last week and said, we will see our animals in paradise. He said it. So that's good. It's good to have a person of faith such as yourself, Pastor, to affirm that for us, that they're not gone forever. If you're not a person of faith, you hold on to the idea that your pet is resting now, and quiet, and has peace and no more pain. If you've attended the euthanization of your pet, you see it happen. Some people will get stuck at the moments right before the death, or the moments of death. They'll get stuck in images of their pets, sick and in pain. But think it through. Remember what happened afterwards, and think of where your pet is now today and how they are. I want to read a quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross that's about grief in general, and it's something to keep in mind. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal, and you will rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same, nor should you be the same, nor would you want to. And that brings me to the final question that people come around to over and over, and that's, should I get another one? And there are people that will tell you to get another one like you wrecked your car. You know? No. I lost this being. So my rule of thumb is, when you don't need the new pet to be the old one, then you're ready. When you're ready to welcome a brand new somebody that you have yet to meet, then you're ready. And I hope that you won't get so lost in your grief that you won't make space for a new one. There are pets needing adoption all over the place that wouldn't have homes if not for you. You have a chance to love again. Don't let your grief consume you so much so that you can't do it. So, thank you very much for listening. And